Hi there, welcome to Car Mechanics TV. This is our new project car, a Toyota Corolla Verso, and as you can see, it's an absolute peach, apart from the paintwork, and the clouded headlights, and the lack of any wheel trims, and the slightly disturbing smell coming from the rear end. But other than that, absolute gem. Now, the first thing you need to do when you get a new car is to service it, but I'm not really up to that, I'm just here to look pretty. I'm still working on that. So now we're going to cut to Steve and Martin, who are going to talk you through the car, and then talk you through what we're going to do to get it serviced.
Right, yes, this is a 2004 Toyota Corolla, and actually came via a car mechanics reader who wanted to trade it in against one of our project cars that we had at the time. I said to him, could we have a look at some pictures of it, and he sent us some over. I said, okay, we'll have it, because he was very honest and said that the clutch might be starting to slip. So I thought, well, we could use it as a feature car. It's a base model car. We've got the wheel trim on the floor here. The T2 model came with trims, didn't have alloy wheels, so these aren't the original trims, so we're going to bin those.
So Steve, talk us through what we're going to be using today.
Right, so it's the engine side we're going to be servicing today. We're going to do the brakes on another day. We've got the 5W30 oil, canister type oil filter. We've got the cabin filter, and we've got the air filter. We've got a new sump bung and washer to put in when we drain the oil out, because we haven't drained the oil on this car before. We don't know what the sump bungs are going to be like, and we like to fit a new washer. And then we've got the new spark plugs, which will be going in. So you'll be seeing us fitting all those parts this morning.
Let's crack on.
Okay, the first job on this Toyota is to replace the oil and the filter, the oil filter. So we've raised the car off the ground with these plastic ramps, and we've just got enough room to slide underneath to get to the oil sump plug. So before we drop the sump plug, I normally release the oil filler cap, and also I pull this up as well. Just gets the air flowing and everything drops out nicely.
What size was that?
14mm. And we've got a little hatch here which will give us access to the oil filter, which is very common. That's all, yeah, that's it. They often stick up because they're obviously exposed to the weather all the time. But on this one, there we are, we're very lucky. Now with the flap open, we can reach up, and there's the oil filter there, just within reach. Not going to need a clamp on that to undo that.
With an oil filter clamp and extension, Steve uses a ratchet to crack the stubborn filter, which eventually comes undone, and covers his hand in oil for his trouble.
We know this engine takes 3.7 litres and possibly 4 litres with the oil filter change. We've got 5 litre can, so what I tend to do, this is a little tip for people, is to just tip some fresh oil, just a little bit, into the top of the engine, and it runs out through the open sump plug. Just, in my mind, it just drains a bit more dirty oil out.
Since this filter does go up upright, the best thing to do is to fill it with oil before we put it. That means that when we start the engine up, it's just taking away that short amount of time that there is no oil in the system. So it just helps look after everything a little bit better. There we are, and you'll find that will initially come up, but it will soak down. And then with the oil that's in the top there, a little wipe around the seal, which means when it screws up, the seal won't catch, it'll go up smoothly.
The new sump plug is torqued up to 37 Newton meters, and then the old oil can go.
So one of the most important things when you're doing servicing at home is to dispose of the old oil that's just come out of the engine. Use an old oil can, and then once we've done that, we are ready to take it to the local council tip. We'll have facilities to take old oil. They don't charge you.
Next, the new oil goes in. The Toyota takes 3.7 litres of 5W30, so we'll get it up to 3.5 and then slowly top it up.
The other thing is to hold the can in the right way. Some people do it like this, which is wrong because it starts glug glug glug.
Yeah.
You hold it like this, it doesn't glug glug glug, yeah?
Right, so we've put the oil in. We're going to start it up for the first time after the oil's gone in. What we mustn't do is rev it. There's misconception about that. So we just start it up, just let it tick over for a couple of seconds. Right, we'll now back it off the ramps, put it on the flat, and then we'll recheck it. So we've got the minimum mark, which is the hole there, and the maximum mark, which is the hole there. We're just about central, so we will put a bit more in and bring it up closer to the maximum. And we're just a fraction off the maximum there. I think that's probably okay. Remembering that is a maximum mark, it's not a mark you have to reach. So when this engine runs, all the oil that's in the top probably will settle down, so that's a safe margin, I'd say. Right, the plugs on this have got a coil on each plug, so we've got to remove the coils before we can get to the spark plugs. So the little clips come off.
And what size is that on the coils?
That's a 10mm coil pack, will slide up. Some can be a little bit sticky, these ones are nice and smooth. They don't actually have to be kept in all of the coil packs because they're all the same. So with the coil packs removed, we can now get to the spark plugs. 16mm socket there. Fits on nicely. And there's the first plug out, which that is very worn, well in need of changing. That one's even worse.
Yeah, look at it. That's probably why it doesn't start very well, isn't it? Look at the electrode there. It's quite worn.
It really is a testament to the modern spark plug, how that will keep going without a misfire. But the good thing is they're all nice and evenly, the mixture's been burning right. There's not any fuel problems, so that's a good sign. So they're always in by hand and always start a plug off by hand. So we've set the torque wrench to 25 Newton meters, which is the setting for these spark plugs. There we are. Click. That's it. And once the plugs are tightened up, we can put the coil packs back on. There we are, that's the plugs done. So we're going to change the air filter now. It is possible to lift that housing up and just squeeze it in there, but because we want to check inside to make sure there's no leaves or debris at the bottom, we're going to take the hose off to give us a little bit more wiggle room. The two clips come up, one either side, push back, then once they push back, that top comes off, and then we can just wiggle that off, and then gives us enough room to get the old air filter out, and we can check in the bottom of the air filter housing, which on this one is nice and clean. New air filter, which goes in with the slightly deeper recesses downwards.
So this filter, Steve's got a mesh on the bottom.
So you will find variations between different filters. Different manufacturers like to make things slightly differently. They effectively should do the same job. It's always worthwhile the engine covers off though, just to have a look around at anything that might rub, cabling for the injectors, the hoses, because you might see something that could be a problem in future, which is one of the things we want to obviously prevent when we're carrying out a service. That's it, done. Right, the cabin filter on this car is behind the glove box, so we've got to remove the glove box first, and then on this one we just pop it off the bottom hinges and then slide it down and out, and the cabin filter is just here behind this little door. There we are. The filter will slide out. You can see that is due to be changed. Cabin filter obviously filters the air coming in through to the cabin, sifts out pollen, dirt, debris that you don't want inside the car. If they get too blocked up, it then puts a strain on the heater motor, and if the heater motor is working too hard to try and draw air through a blocked up pollen filter, then you can get heater motor problems. So one, you want nice fresh air in the car, and two, you don't want strain on the heater motor. Slide that in, there we go, that just slides in. That's it, that's popped in place. That's it.
So there we go then, the Verso, all serviced, new cabin filter, ready to go chaps, nicely done. And that was about an hour and a half, is if you're doing it fairly leisurely and not actually filming it like us. And the real takeaway from something like this is make sure you got the right tools. And we're not talking about the guys doing the job. We're talking about all the right wrenches, all the right sockets. It saves you time, even things like getting that oil filter out. So thanks for watching Car Mechanics TV. Join us again next time when we'll do something completely different, I suppose. Thanks for watching.